Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. Hey guys, I am finally back for a new bookish drummer video. Sorry I haven't been posting the last few weeks. Life's been a little hectic for me. I had to work a lot and I had to do stuff for the readathon and actually read for the readathon. So booktube stuff and YouTube stuff just kind of got put to the wayside, but I am back, hopefully, back to regularly scheduled weeks, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Stephen King Friday. And for today, what am I doing today? I am going over my potential November TBR, MBR, stuff that I really want to get to in the month of November. So enough of the preamble. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, before I forget about them, let's talk about the books that I don't own physically and that I'll probably be doing on audio. The first one is the sequel to The Bands of Mourning, which I actually read in October. Very fun. I love Mistborn Era 2. And of course, the sequel that's coming out right around my birthday is The Lost Metal. And I've been waiting for this book for a very long time. Like I said, I love Mistborn Era 2, even more so than Era 1, which I think is a tad overrated, but I've been waiting so long for this book, and it's going to be a blast actually getting to read it. And hopefully it's a very good ending to the quartet of Era 2. The other book that I don't own physically, but that I'll be listening to on Audible, is The Black Tongue Thief. And at the moment, I can't remember who the author, maybe it's Christopher Bullman, I think is the author's name. I don't know. But anyway, this is the Patreon winner for the month of November, which was voted on by Kate Coy, my new Patreon member. And I'm very excited to read this because I bought this audiobook a while ago and I never got around to it, even though I hear a lot of people saying or have said that it's very fun and a very funny fantasy standalone book. So I'm very much excited to get to The Black Tongue Thief. Also, a book that I don't own physically that I'm going to listen to on Audible is Locklands by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is the sequel to Shorefall, which is the second book in the trilogy. I could have just said it's the last book in the Locklands trilogy, or the Founders trilogy, I mean. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how this trilogy ends, because I've really enjoyed the first two books. The first two books, while they're not perfect, I'd probably give them both 4.5 stars. Very cool and interesting magic systems, very witty characters, and just each of the books have just very standout moments that I still think about. And I'm hoping that the third book kind of sticks the landing, hopefully, and it'll probably end up being one of my favorite new fantasy trilogies. So Locklands, which I will be buddy reading with Stacy. And speaking of Stacy, I put out a video a few weeks ago and I wanted you guys to kind of vote on which books that you wanted us to buddy read while she's going to be visiting me in Virginia. And the two books that won, this book I was fairly sure it was going to win, and it did, would be Empire of Silence by Christopher Rucchio. This is supposed to be like a very cool blend of sci-fi and fantasy, but I really don't know much more than that, other than that, and that it's chunky. But I've heard pretty much nothing but good things about this series. I think the first book is supposed to be either like really good by some people's standards or pretty good, but then the series like gets much better. I'm very excited to see what all the hype is about. And then the other book that got voted on is The Night Swim by Megan Golden. And me and Stacy are very excited because we really enjoyed The Escape Room by the same artist or author. And yeah, we're very excited to jump into this one. So we will be buddy reading this, not potentially in November, maybe one of them in November and then one of them in December. I don't really know yet. Just whatever happens. And yeah, that's the plan, is to buddy read those two books. Also, starting in November, we're going to be continuing to truck along with Nightmares and Dreamscapes. We put a pause on it for October during the readathon because obviously you can't count short stories for prompts. So we just kind of took a pause on it for October, but we're jumping back in with November. And we only have a few short stories left. So we're actually going to be finishing this up in like the middle of December. And then probably take a few weeks off. And then probably either in January or February, I'll start it back up with his next short story collection, which would be Everything's Eventual, which I actually think is much better than this one, in my opinion. So that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun to actually wrap this up. And then I'll probably eventually do my overall ranking of all the stories in here. But honestly, it's definitely a mixed bag. Like, there are some really good ones, but there's also ones that I just do not care for. So that one will probably not be as good as my Night Shift and Skeleton Crew one, but whatever. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Also, some exciting news that probably y'all have heard of is I'm going to be doing a read-along for one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, starting in November, and that will be 12 Kings and Shere Kai, and this is the first book in the Shattered Sands series by Bradley P. Bulio. And basically what we're going to be doing is reading one book a month starting in November, and it's a 6-book series, so it'll lead into 2023 April. And yeah, very excited. I've read this book twice now. I actually haven't finished the series. I've read the first 4 books. I still need to read 5 and 6. So when we get to that next year, that'll actually be my first time reading it, and I will complete a series. And again, one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. And if you guys want to join us, you can go join the Book Astronomer Discord. We have a few people that are interested, but hopefully we get a few more, because I want to introduce more and more people to this series. Or if you've started this like me but never finished it, come join us and you can reread some of the first books and then catch up with me and everyone else. I think it'll be a fun time, and like I said, one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. Speaking of all-time favorite fantasy series, I really want to try and finish my reread of Storm of Swords in November. I actually have I'll have a little bit of time to do it at the tail end of October when I'm filming this. I'm about halfway through it. If I can finish this in November and potentially get through Feast for Crows in November and December, that would be good. I'd love to get to Dance with Dragons in November and December, but since Stacy is visiting me, I don't think I'm going to have that much reading time to read that big of a tome. So probably Dance with Dragons will have to wait until January of next year. But if I can at least get through these 2 chunkers in November/December, that would be awesome. And finally, the last book I have to talk about in this video is my annual reread of one of my all-time favorite books. And that would, of course, be Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie by Jordan Sonnenblick. You guys have probably heard me talk a lot about this book in many of my videos, but it's a book that I read in middle school, assuming that it was going to be like a very fun and lighthearted children's book or like middle grade book. And it starts out that way, but you get a little bit into it, and it's got a lot more darker themes than I was expecting for a middle grade book. And I've read this book several times in my life at various points in my life, and it's just so good, and it's just a very cozy comfort read for me, and I love it. And I usually try to read it around my birthday every year, and it'll be fun too because Stacy will be here, and I'll actually read it with her. She'll read one of my favorite books, and it'll be fun. So yeah, that's all the books I have to talk about in this video, I think. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. It's been a while since I filmed, so I might be forgetting something. But anyway, yeah, that's my November TBR, MBR, whatever you want to call it. All of the books that I can potentially get to in the month of November. Hopefully I do. And what are you the most excited for me to read in the month of November? And conversely, what are you the most excited to read in November? Please let me know down in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and the Book Astronomer Discord. And if you'd like to go support me on Patreon, I'll have a link down below for that. And I also have the link for my Amazon wishlist if anyone would like to buy me a book, especially since November is my birth month. And my birthday is November 19th. So if anyone wants to get me a book for my birthday, you certainly don't have to, but if you do, you get more of me dancing, apparently. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.